86 Charles is brought to you by Amazon. Go to 86charles.com and click on the Amazon link. Amazon is the perfect place to start prepping for the end, now that the Donald is president. The apocalypse is nigh.
Given the chance, what young girl wouldn't happily exchange a plain face for a lovely one? What girl could refuse the opportunity to be beautiful? For want of a better estimate, let's call it the year 2000. At any rate, imagine a time in the future when science has developed the means of giving everyone the face and body he dreams of. It may not happen tomorrow, but it happens now, in the Twilight Zone.
Hi, this is Charles.
You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
And with that, welcome to 86 Charles. Travis Spencer, hello, sir.
John Derby, I don't know if I'm terrified or if I'm hopeful. I really don't know what to think. How is Rod Serling so damn brilliant?
You should definitely
man?
be more terrified than hopeful.
Well, I mean, I'm obviously not signing up for gender reassignment or plastic surgery or CRISPR. Nobody's digitizing my genes, but this is all happening in front of our eyes, man. It's like it's literally happening.
I mean, the prophecy is coming true.
Yeah, but of course it was going to come true.
What do you mean, of course it was going to come true? Why, of course?
Because as technology gets better...
How did we see the writing on the wall and chose to so blindly ignore it?
It was brilliant, but so when sci-fi writers write things amazing like this, that one causes scientists to move that way. What if it's possible that we could do that, right? What are they going to do? Not think that it's possible? What if we could build the perfect human being? Wouldn't you want, if you could get your arm cut off right now and replace it with a robotic arm that could crush anything you touched, or could shoot a basketball perfectly every time, or could throw a baseball 100 miles an hour?
I don't want a robot arm.
You had no drawbacks, would you not think about doing it?
No, I don't want a robot arm. I'm a human being. I don't want to be, and I don't want any part of me that's metal.
What if it's not metal? What if it's bone? What if it's actual bone?
I don't want to be taken. I am who I am. I don't want limbs taken off. I don't want things replaced. No. I don't even think, and honestly, obviously financially it'd be an issue, but I don't even think I'm vain enough to ever get plastic surgery.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I think I'm just going to let it happen. I'm just going to get old. It happens.
I'm not talking about, because this is like a cosmetic looking. I'm talking about performance. What if you could get something, and we won't say a penis, John, because that's a sensitive issue for you. But what if you could get something that would make you so much faster, so much better, so much just overall better at everything you do?
To what end? What am I doing? What do I mean, I don't...
Okay, you're not...
Why would I need to be bionic to do what I do?
You're a crusty old...
I could do better if I just had different opportunities.
You're a crusty old man.
I don't need to be a bionic
You're
person.
A crusty old man. What if you're an 18-year-old kid who's pretty good at a sport and you have the opportunity to become great, amazing, legendary by getting an implant or something? It's a whole different thing.
But then every single athlete at that age and skill level would do the exact same thing, so that the playing field is still exactly the same. Because if there's something that they could put into you or give you that would make you that way, everyone else would have access to it as well. It's not going to just be you.
Well, it's going to be the elite and people with...
And those people are, LeBron James is already LeBron James. He's an elite athlete with an elite physical build. He would just be the same thing to the nth degree.
But what I'm saying is,
humans, do we?
LeBron James won the genetic lottery. His dad and his mom, whoever the F they were, turned him into being this super athlete who's 6'8", 265, can run like the wind, can jump through the roof. Like, what if you, John Derby, at 6'6", 175 pounds soaking wet, suddenly could like be as athletic as he was? Like, doesn't entice you a little bit? Like, doesn't that level the playing field? Where if you put your mind behind the same machinery, like, you could be on the basketball court with LeBron James all of a sudden. It's incredible.
But it's at what are they doing to me? If they're giving me robot arms and legs or things like that, no, thank you. I'm not interested.
Well, they put you in this.
If they're putting some kind of chip,
No,
in
they
my
just
brain,
put you in this cool little glass coffin, and then you come out and you're prettier than you were, and you have a name tag on you. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple.
Well, that's why it's I don't know. Maybe it's stupid, but I've always kind of been glad that I've never been a super good looking person, because I feel like that's the sort of thing that is fleeting. And if you're known for that, like, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of maintenance. That's a lot of things you have to do, and you have to be aware of that and conscious of that, because that's what you're known for.
What?
And so I've always that's not the thing I've ever been or will ever be known for, is being super good
John,
looking.
as a super
been,
good looking person, let me tell you, it's not that hard. It's about the content of your character, John. That's all we can judge you or I on, is the content of our character. But what I'm looking at an article right now. We've talked
but your character becomes different if you're known for being really good looking. Like, that instantly changes the type of character you
Or
have.
maybe you just get more hand jobs. I don't know. I don't really know what it's like. I'm not that good looking. I don't get Tom Brady blowjobs just wherever I go.
It has to be different, because there's a different personality requirement when you're really good looking or really ugly or somewhere in between. Like, there's a different personality requirement that you have to have.
Well,
or don't have.
But I mean, you've met people on both sides of that fence. Like, there are good-looking people with good personalities, and there are good-looking people with terrible personalities.
Of course.
So all you can do is like just be the best person that you are, and you yourself, you judge people based on the merit of their character, right? Not on how they look, correct? Or the color of their skin, right?
As best I can, sure, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, do I naturally treat good-looking people differently than others that are not? Yeah. Sorry, I do. Can't help it. It's not a conscious decision. I just can't help it.
It's pretty honest.
It is. I'm sorry. Like, again, it's not something I feel good about, but I don't know a lot of people that could honestly say that they don't give, at least on some level in some circumstances, preferential treatment to better looking people.
So with that said, like, how could you ever fault somebody for wanting to go under the knife or into a glass coffin or a little cage or whatever it was in this, the Twilight Zone episode, where they just come out perfect looking? How could you ever fault somebody like that if you know on the other side you're going to be treated like you're going to be treated better, right? How could you ever fault somebody?
Well, it's not better in all cases, though. And I don't necessarily fault them as much as I defend my choice that I wouldn't want to do that, because then that would change my personality. And my personality has been developed because I was never known for being good looking. And if I became known for being good looking, that changes my personality. And I would rather not do that. My personality is what it is because of how I've been viewed and how I've been judged and how I've been treated.
It's such a strange thing to grow up your entire life and just know, like, as soon as you're 18, if your parents won't allow you, that you're going to get plastic surgery or what. Like, it's such a bizarre mindset. I couldn't even imagine thinking like that, because I don't care. We're also, John, at the same time, we're relatively lucky, in the sense that we're white. Let's do it. We're white males who are skinny and not overweight, and it's like we're always fairly athletic and have, it's like you're healthy.
Let's be blunt. We're white. We're not fat. We're not ugly. We're not stupid.
Right, but I mean.
But with that being said, we've neither of us are a 10 either.
Speak for yourself, young man.
So we're in that somewhere in the middle category.
I'm a 10.5, bro. And you know what? The only thing that matters is that I call myself a 10.5 all the time, and I'll be fine in life, okay?
I will say, in terms of plastic surgery, it's different for women than for men. I understand I'm not saying it's right or I think that they should, but I understand a woman, even 18, wanting plastic surgery more than a man. Because women are unfairly judged by their looks. Men get away with a lot more.
Unless you live in West Hollywood, young man, then it's the same game.
Yeah, but even still, like, I mean,
Palm
how many
Springs.
18-year-old dudes want pec implants? That's not really a thing.
It is a thing.
But I understand an 18-year-old girl feeling like she would want that.
I mean, it is.
Not that she should, but I understand why she would feel that way or to be made to feel
No,
that
it is
way.
a real thing. Like, we lived in West Hollywood, or we worked in West Hollywood, where it was like, I couldn't believe when 4 giant, totally buff dudes walked in, and you're like, oh, wow, these guys are really, like, there's that community. So it is a real thing with men. I'm just saying, but it's more prevalent across society for women to be judged based on their, and like to even start to get into that is crazy. Like why that begun, and it's nuts. But John, what I'm looking at now is an article on Telegraph, the British newspaper, that says Elon Musk has said become cyborgs or risk humans being turned into robots' pets. Like, that's where we're at. So if you're not going to get the implants, if you're not going to, like, you'll be left behind. You want to be one of the humans who are just buried by the robots and the androids, because there's going to be a divide, man. It's coming.
I will fight the robots as a human proudly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're going to fight them for about 3 seconds until you get murdered. If you get some implants now and you start turning into an android, you have a chance. I'm just saying, John, if you stay as a human.
See, the reason you won't have a chance is because even if you're half of a robot, they'll still be all robot, and they can smell your fear from miles and miles and miles away. But my human pride and integrity can sneak up from behind them like ninja feet.
You know what's the hardest thing to program a robot to do?
I have no fear because my heart is human and pure.
You know the hardest thing to get robots to do? Climb mountains. Come find me, motherfuckers. That's it.
Please. They have no interest. Yeah, and you know where they don't have robot doctor implants? In the mountains. So you're going to have to come down to get your body fixed.
You can't find me. I'm in the mountain, bro. Whatever, yeah.
Please. I will die as a human. Thank you, sir.
I'm on Team Human myself, but guess what? I've already made the move to be one step ahead. You're a step behind. You're a flatlander, bro. That's what we call you. You're a flatlander. You're living with the cyborgs and the androids, and you want to fight the human fight? You got to get out of there, man. It's not safe. I'm just warning you now. Me and Elon Musk, we're telling you now before it's too late, okay?
Yeah, I'm a real idiot for getting to know the enemy.
Just going to laugh at you. I have nothing else to say.
The humans are dead. The humans are dead. We use poisonous gases, and we poison their asses. The humans are dead.
When everyone is beautiful, no one will be, because without ugliness there can be no beauty. Mother, don't you understand? They don't care whether you're beautiful or not. They just want everyone to be the same, that's all. Hey, who are you talking about?
The lizard people.
I'm ready to start. Get it going, get it flowing, get the party started. I bring you the facts and nothing but the facts, so help me, Charles. 86 Charles means 86. 86, of course, is a term that you're no longer welcome. You're out and expired. We have no more of you. We're out of that product. You are 86. 86 Charles. Best show, great show of our time. Yeah, it's 86 Mr. Charles. I refer to Charles, 86 Charles, 86charles.com. It's a good show. Best show, great show of our time. For Mr. Charles, who's 86 Charles, this is Charles. Charles 86 himself. Say, hey, man, time to go. Get the f*** out of here. You're 86. Boop, 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 boop.
Nickel, what? 5 topics currently trending. Travis, you afraid of tsunamis?
John, Yeah, tell me something cool. How do we fight tsunamis?
Sound waves could take a tsunami down a few notches. Acoustic gravity waves would exchange energy with destructive water wave. A tsunami's immense wall of water may not be stoppable, but there may be a way to take the ferocious force of nature down a few notches using a pair of counter waves. If released at the right moment, a type of sound wave known as an acoustic gravity wave could subdue a tsunami. Applied mathematician Usama Kadri of Cardiff University in Wales reports. These acoustic gravity waves, which reach deep below the ocean's surface, can stretch tens or hundreds of kilometers and easily travel long distances at high speeds. If Kadri's plan, 2 acoustic gravity waves would be launched through the water at the earthquake-triggered ocean surge. The waves would be tuned to exchange energy with the tsunami as they would speed past. Wait a minute. The waves would be tuned to exchange energy with the tsunami as they speed past. I don't know why I needed to read that again. Spreading the tsunami out by redistributing its energy and thereby decreasing its maximum height. The tsunami sapper is still theoretical. Scientists don't yet have a way to create the high energy waves needed. But Kadri suggests his approach could have shrunk the amplitude of the devastating 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami by almost 30%. Such a reduction translates to a 5-meter decrease in the height of the water reached above sea level, enough to potentially save lives and property. Watch out, Mother Nature.
John, what does this have to do with the Transformers and the greatest Transformer of all, Soundwave?
I mean, he could be in charge of the project, could he not?
Yeah, we just need to build a bunch of Soundwaves and let him monitor, just hang out on the coast. Soundwave would be great on the coast.
More than meets the eye.
That was probably... Did you ever have that toy? That was like the coolest toy.
I definitely did not. My oldest brother might have, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. Actually, no. I think we had a neighbor that possibly had one. I know I've seen one and held one at one point.
Yeah, what's up with that? I never had a Soundwave and I never had a Megatron, the one that turned into the gun. Those were the two best, coolest Transformer toys ever. I had Optimus Prime. He was pretty great, don't get me wrong. But
I'll be honest with you, I can't even remember which ones I had. I was pretty young. I cannot I honestly can't remember. I know I had them. I can't really remember the ones I had though.
This is pretty cool though. This is pretty exciting. This is all about although it does make me think that there might be some crazy side effects. It's you knock down the tsunami, and then on the other side of the world, it creates a tsunami twice as big. Or what's the opposite of tsunami? It's a hurricane, right?
Is that the opposite of a tsunami? I don't think so.
Don't they spin different ways? Isn't that the whole thing?
Well, no, you're thinking of a tornado and a hurricane.
Typhoon. I'm thinking of a typhoon, right? What's typhoon?
It's also ocean related. I don't know, but I want them to figure out how to fight earthquakes. I mean, this is exciting, don't get me wrong. But I want them to figure out a way to stop earthquakes or minimize earthquakes. I guess you can't really stop it.
Why? Because you live in Orange County?
In California in general.
Because you're in Southern California? Guess what, John? I am in the mountain on San Jacinto, in this mountain, allegedly, what I've heard. I have no science to back this up, but allegedly we're sitting on water, so when the earthquake hits, we'll just rock back and forth very gently. Everything's going to be great on the mountain. We're good to go. Cool. So when you think the earthquake's coming, just come hang out with me for the weekend.
You know what?
We'll eat some mushrooms. We'll climb to the top of the mountain. It'll be great. I'll go to sleep. I'll sleep the best I've ever slept in my life. It'll be amazing.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. That's not the worst plane you've had.
How many earthquakes have you sat through?
Oh, I mean, a solid handful, for sure.
California. Right.
Multiple.
Yeah,
the small.
The first one I had no idea was
2 larger ones that I recall where it shook longer than you expect, and then it was is this
right?
But yeah, only 2 of those where I was legitimately concerned, and then things actually kind of fell off the walls and got knocked over, things like that.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I've never had anything fall off the wall. The ones that I've sat through were I thought literally that my cat ran into the window or something. I was like, what? It was just that fast. It was just but yeah, nothing ever shook off the wall.
I've had that twice, where things that actually fell over or fell off a wall, and the shaking was because it happens, and you're kind of like, oh man, what was that? but it was still going, and it was like, uh-oh, is this a big one? It is freaky.
Yeah, that once things start falling off the wall, that's when you're getting a little, that's when it gets real.
But yeah, it's, I don't know, small price to pay.
All right, well, I'm all for the Transformers becoming real. And you know what I can't wait for the Transformers? Is when somebody who's not Michael Bay makes a movie about the Transformers. Maybe in 10 years we can get a reboot that it's actually cool. He ruined it. They're so stupid. Mark Wahlberg, come on. All right, whatever. I don't even want to talk about it.
All right.
John, do you know what skioring is? Skioring?
No.
Skioring is where a person on skis is pulled by a horse or a dog or a motor vehicle. It is derived from the Norwegian word skikjoring, meaning ski driving. I'm sure I pronounced everything perfectly.
No, you're nailing that for sure.
You know why I bring that up, John? Because a horse spooked by a drone runs into a crowd at the Silverton Skioring. At least 3 people were run over by a horse that possibly became spooked by a low-flying drone Saturday at the starting line of Silverton's 8th annual Skioring race. 2 women were taken away by an ambulance, including one who had a gash on the back of her head and one who suffered a hip injury. A man also suffered a bloody chin but did not need transport by the ambulance. Sounds horrific. 3 people. The mishap occurred about 1:15 p.m. as a horse, rider, and skier prepared to launch off from the starting line. Instead of bolting up the course, the horse darted off the left of the course where 5 to 10 spectators gathered on the sideline. I love this story. It's such a tiny town. But John, you know why I'm reading this story? It's not a big deal yet, but the war between robots and animals has begun. Are you petrified?
No. And that's not at all what that story means.
This is the beginning. It starts with a skioring horse and a drone.
Anytime there's a new anything, the jerks always get a hold of it first. So drones are a relatively new thing for civilians to have, and so of course the jerks get a hold of it. And they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna fly this over horses," and they think that's a cool idea. And then and then things like this happen, and then we have to come up with rules and regulations for drones because jerks get a hold of them, and then it's a natural progression. That's technology. It's not a war on robots.
Imagine the amazing shot he was getting. Come on, he's flying it over. He's doing a documentary about this amazing skioring race.
He was probably trying.
So you're on the side of the law.
He was probably trying to spook a horse.
Well, you'll be happy to know that San Juan County Sheriff Bruce Conrad said he plans to issue a ticket to the drone pilot for flying over a crowd of people, which is illegal. He declined to identify the drone pilot before issuing a ticket, other than to say that the pilot is from Durango. I love small town news. It's so good. John, the war is here. Horses are being spooked by drones. Eventually, birds and bats will be fighting drones in the sky. Birds and bats both will be dropping from the sky. The war is here, my friend. Just buckle up, okay?
No, you're definitely reading way too much into that.
I'm just reading the story, actually.
Fortunately, here's a better story. Do you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah, they got some
Fleeing
pretty good
the
jams. Blood Sugar Sex Magic. That's a good album.
That
was probably my favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers album. Californication,
sure.
Gotta like that.
So the Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer's wife won't face charges for allegedly attacking Scott Baio over Trump support. The wife of Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Chad Smith will reportedly not face charges for allegedly assaulting Scott Baio. Baio accused Nancy Mack of physically assaulting him over his staunch support of President Trump while they were at a function for their kids last December. But the judge won't press charges after determining the apparent attack wasn't that too serious. That's not good writing. The 1980s TV star, who is now 56, claimed in a police report from the incident that Mack, an outspoken critic of the commander-in-chief, approached him at the event last year and berated him over his fervent support of Trump. He asserted that she wouldn't stop scolding him even after he stopped, instead continuing to grill him about why he stood by Trump after audio from 2005 revealed him bragging that he could, quote, do anything to women, including grabbing them by the P-U-S-S-Y. The old poussoir. She allegedly continued to repeat Trump's lewd phrase to the Happy Days star over and over from there, then proceeded to grab him beneath his arms and begin shaking and pushing him, Baio reportedly claimed in the police filing. Ventura County Sheriff's Department opened an investigation regarding the incident, but apparently Mac's actions weren't enough to warrant charges.
Do you think she was yelling, "Do you like it when I grab your pussy?" the whole time?
No, I think probably some version thereof, yeah. Can I say what his quote was?
Scott Baio he can always hear what his quote was on this show.
This is Scott Baio's quote in regards to what Trump said about grabbing the poussoir. "If you're offended by it, grow up," Baio told Fox News in October. "And by the way, this is what you guys talk about over white wine when you have your brunches, so take it easy with your phony outrage. This is the way the world works." Go get him, Baio.
You and your white wine brunches. Oh, you're all
Charles
the same
is in
women.
charge of the poussoir
You and your
grabbing, apparently.
This is so ridiculous.
story.
When did the left become so enraged that they start getting to physical? Like, I guess that's too much of a generalization.
I
It's
just don't know
stupid
how
to say
I just
that,
don't
but,
know why an adult
like,
puts their hands on another adult. Like, I get you're upset. I get you don't agree with what you're saying. I don't even hate you necessarily for confronting him, which I mean, time and place probably not right at all at a function for your kids.
Right.
But to
Exactly.
get loud and to get physical, come on, grow up.
Like, everybody has their own reasons. Trump, he's obvious. He's a monster. He's an asshole. But, like, it's just not the time or place. And what is physical? What is getting physical going to solve
But what
for
do you
anything?
do? You think you're going to shake the support out of Scott Baio, and then all of a sudden he's going to hold a presser and be like,
Exactly.
"Hey, you know what, guys? Chachi was wrong. Chachi was so wrong." He's not going to do that. You're not going to convince the guy. So why do you embarrass yourself and your kid and your family and potentially get charges pressed? I mean, come on.
Right. Anytime that this is happening, the Berkeley thing, windows getting broken, riots, $100,000, like, it's just strengthening the divide and strengthening the argument on the other side. Like, we got to stop this crap. But it's hilarious because it's Scott Baio. I mean, anytime you want to talk about Scott Baio on this podcast, just
it's
bring him on.
gonna sound
He is-
cheesy, but I think her better bet would have been to just hug him nonstop and be like, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you feel that way," and almost embarrass him and almost make him get physical with you and prove a better point. It just seems so odd to. I just don't get.
Hi, Scott. How you doing? How's your mother? Yeah. How are your relationships? Oh, you haven't had very good relationships with
Just
women.
wrap
have
your
you,
arms
Scott?
around.
I'm so sorry, Scott.
Just put him in a bear hug and just say, "Trump
Scott.
can't hurt us. Trump can't hurt us."
You know, things really haven't worked out for you the last couple of years, have they, Scott? It's okay. It's okay. I mean, you had a good run in the 80s, but Scott, it's okay. We still love you, Scott. Oh.
I don't know. There's better ways to make a point.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where people are angry, but violence is not the answer.
It's never gonna.
Let's
You can't
let's
shake
use our
someone's
humor
belief out of them.
and sarcasm, and it's just strengthening the argument on the other side. And they're already assholes. I mean, everybody's assholes. I'm not going
it's not just
to say
yeah,
one side or
just
the other.
different kinds.
But, whatever. Let's talk about a giant, slimy orange
We
creature
just did.
instead. How's that sound? Oh, wait. No. Oh, this is different. There's an orange alligator garnering quizzical looks in Calabash, North Carolina. Nice headline, quizzical looks. An unusual gator dubbed Donnie by residents is drawing attention in Calabash. The alligator is ready for Halloween, as in the color of a pumpkin. This writing is
You should have gone with the article I looked at.
a dull orange instead of the usual green color. Nick Andrews of Little River snapped some photos of the unusual reptile while visiting his father-in-law. Another orange alligator was spotted earlier this month in South Carolina. The South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, Jay Buttfalowski.
That can't be right.
Literally his name, Jay Buttfalowski, I'm going to go with that pronunciation. I love it. He said in a USA Today report that the color may come from where the animals spent the winter, such as a rusty steel pipe. John, this article is one of the greatest things I've ever read. A giant orange reptile has been hanging out with the rusty steel pipe all winter.
Can I read you the first sentence of this article?
You've got more
it's just,
for me?
This is
Please.
just to go along with that one. So apparently, orange is, in fact, the new black. Or the new green.
Oh, man.
Local writers, you are my heroes.
Yeah. I've got a shout out to Myrtle Beach Online for my amazing article, and also to the Durango Herald earlier for the other
straight out of
amazing
the Times
article I read
Picayune,
today.
man.
Picayune. Love it. I've got one final line, John. Experts say that orange alligators will eventually shed their skin and likely to return to a normal shade of green. I'm going to end on that. We can only hope that Donald Trump turns back into his reptilian form. I mean, Donnie.
We could start a fund called Gatorade to try to get him back to his original color.
Oh, you're holding on to that one.
Woo!
Woo! All right, moving on.
I got one last one here. I don't know how to segue. I don't have a segue for this. So,
Scott Baio. Just say Scott Baio. That's a perfect segue.
Speaking of Scott Baio, ricin poisoning may one day be treatable with new antidote. It has been used by an assassin wielding a poisoned umbrella and sent in a suspicious letter to a president. Ricin, the potent toxin and bioterrorism agent, has no antidote and can cause death within days. But a cocktail of antibodies could one day offer victims at least a slim window for treatment. A new study presented February 7th at the American Society for Microbiology's Biothreats meeting reveals a ricin antidote that, in mice, works even days after exposure to the toxin. Another presented study offers a potential explanation for how such an antidote might work. Doctors need some way to deal with ricin poisoning, said Patrick Cherubin, a cell biologist at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. Immunologist Nicholas Mantis agreed. There is no specific treatment or therapy whatsoever. Though ricin has an innocuous origin, it's found in castor beans. The poison is anything but harmless. It's dangerous and relatively easy to spread, rated by the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention as a Category B bioterrorism agent, just behind the highest risk Category A agents such as anthrax, plague, and Ebola. Ricin poisoning is rare but has featured in some high-profile cases. In 1978, Bulgarian writer Georgy Markov was hit in the thigh with a ricin-poisoned pellet shot from an umbrella gun. Ooh. A few days later, he was dead. In 2013, a letter addressed to President Barack Obama tested positive for granules of the deadly toxin. A Texas woman had ordered castor bean seeds and lye online for a do-it-yourself approach to making ricin. No one was injured. Most people, obviously I'm only familiar with ricin because of Breaking Bad.
I was going to say they missed that. It's 1978, 2013. So it was probably about
I was going to say, I can just about
poisoned,
guarantee you that 2013 case is probably Breaking Bad related.
But the ricin thing was in throughout the narrative. It was like it kept coming up, there was always the ricin. The kid got sick, right? So it was always there. So it was before 2013 probably. So it was before the Obama thing. Maybe that's where
what I'm saying. That's where I think that person probably got the idea, was they saw Breaking Bad and was like, oh.
Gotta love a DIY poisoning. Those are my favorite kinds of poisoning.
The 1978 one, though, a ricin poisoned pellet shot from an umbrella gun? That is gangster.
Yeah, what is it? I want to know what an umbrella gun
it looks like an umbrella, but I would imagine you know how like you would put up the umbrella and it's normally got that little, not necessarily a spike at the top, but some kind of little nub or something at the top of the umbrella. That's probably the barrel.
These look like they're just like umbrellas, but they're actually guns.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is the barrel
like folded up umbrella
would be where the top part is, and so the trigger is where your handle is.
Right.
Just like the
brilliant.
penguin, dude.
I want one of those. Oh, man. Oh, that's right. He had totally had an umbrella gun. Oh, wow. I Googled umbrella gun. Guess who came up? Gorgai Markov.
Gorgon? I got
Gorgie?
maybe Gorgie.
Georgie?
I think I said Georgie because I don't know. Georgi.
That's I mean, hopefully it's good to have cures, I guess. But thank God thank God Breaking Bad came out first, so it could really scare the shit out of you, and then now we can get a cure. This is great. So Breaking Bad actually led to the cure of Rising.
It's a slim window for treatment.
Right. So it's still.
But yeah, it's Category B bioterrorism, dude.
Well, maybe somebody will take out that orange alligator. Old Donnie.
If you guys want to help Donnie get his skin back, go to Gatorade GoFundMe.
Gatorade. That's enough to do, all right?
She's so damn beautiful. You see me rise again. Jesse's favorite part of the show.
From last week.
Hello, folks.
Some dude in Myanmar had 4.6 million narcotic pills? Now, I know you said Myanmar is one of the countries that produces the most narcotics, but it seems like that guy might be the one that produces the most narcotics. Why did he have so many? There's no one he trusted? No one sold for him? No right-hand man? He ran out of space in his house, still had 400,000 pills, and instead of sending them down the Myanmar narcotics corporate ladder, he said, nah, I'm going to keep them in my car. If I'm being honest, I can't really picture what 4.6 million pills looks like, but I'm positive it's more than you need at any given time. Maybe he was a collector. He bought the pills on eBay and had them framed around his house. How did the police count them? Was it like at the fair when you guess the jelly beans in the jar and they guessed 4.6 million, but it was really like 300,000? And follow up, were all the pills in a mason jar? And was he caught because he took the said mason jar to the fair? This is Jesse, and yearning for more drug knowledge was my favorite part of last week's podcast.
Now let's get high. Let's get high. Let's get high.
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by Ugliness, propping up beauty since its inception. A woman in Medford said when you walk into a store that smells like a fart contest got trapped in an old mayonnaise jar. Never mind. A man in Los Angeles said, "Can we please calm down about Hamilton a little bit?" A woman in Massachusetts said it's MLK Day, so she gonna make some collards, then have sex with a white man.
Science has developed a means of giving everyone the face and body he dreams of. Body he dreams of. It may not happen tomorrow, but it happens now to all its lives.
Transformation is the most marvelous thing that could happen to a person. Well, I could wait a little while, couldn't I? Don't worry, darling, you're just nervous. What you need is a glass of instant smile. 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 Smile, smile. It's a glass of instant smile.
What were you doing on the couch? What were you doing by the window? What were you doing in the tub? What were you thinking between the sheets? What were you doing on the couch?
Given a chance, what young girl wouldn't happily exchange a
First names are such a problem. Thought, make it two. Yes, ma'am. A glass of instant smile for Marilyn. Instant smile for Marilyn. And for Marilyn. What's so terrible about being beautiful? After all, isn't everybody? I want to stay ugly.
You're not ugly, you're just...
Not beautiful.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that. It's just that, for want of a better estimate, for want of a that's called the year 2000. Now, the year 2000 was the year 2000. Then he was your time no excuse.
17 this last
What is happening now? There's heart attacks that have been for 20 years.
Isn't everybody?
Given the chance, what young girl wouldn't happily exchange her plain face for love? What girl could refuse the opportunity to be beautiful? For want of a better estimate. For want of a better estimate, let's call it the year 2000.
A woman in California said just nailed her first audition of 2017 and then breastfed in the back seat. Life sure is sweet. A man in Los Angeles said just walked by two guys, each one holding a skateboard in one hand and a pineapple in the other. If anyone is in Mid-City, please follow up. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by Ugliness, propping up beauty since its inception.
Dad's got notebooks. We don't know what's in her notebooks. She's gonna show us all her notebooks. Little yellow pad.
8/19/2011. Black, 6 subject, Malquarius, old school, Uniball and Sharpie, all the favorite mediums. I can't read everything on this page because, it would reveal my secret genius that, you've heard enough about. Because it's a bunch of notes about a project. But it's something I was supposed to do with Gina, who's awesome, by the way. Hey, Gina, what up? It's got a lot of notes about, the show we were going to do. There's doodles, costume ideas, locations, and everything. But the thing that I honed in on was, well, first there's a sketch of this woman wearing a ripped t-shirt that says, Blade Kill. And that's supposed to be Gina. So, sorry, Gina. But it kind of sort of looks a little like her anyway. And then there's another sketch above that, which is supposed to be her badge, like her office badge that you go, and get into the elevator and then get into your office and stuff. And it says, Senior Clerk Typist, Carla J. Toms. And this is supposed to be the job of Gina's character. God, what a terrible, boring life this person leads. This character who will, for the remainder of the story, grow and change and grow a little bit more until, there's a second act crisis or whatever. But eventually she murders, beautiful, amazing butterfly, senior clerk typist, no more. Vanquish the trolls, we shout as we follow our heroine to her beautiful future, etc. But what you have to know is that I was once a senior clerk typist, so I know of what I speak. But, I'm not sure that I'm a beautiful, amazing butterfly. But I'm not a senior clerk typist. Well, okay, let me tell you. It sounds boring, and it is, but it's not that bad. I mean, what a senior clerk typist does is it pays your rent. It gives you a pretty good salary. And when I was a senior clerk typist, I was making a lot of OT, which is called overtime. And I was also making pretty good money because I was working at Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Facility in San Luis Obispo, California. So when I was in college, I don't know why I did this. Anyway, one of the summers when I was in college, I would wake up at 5. Well, I think it was 4:45. It was some horrible time when it was dark. And then I would carpool a half an hour to San Luis Obispo from Santa Maria, which is where I lived with my parents during the summer. And I would put on my hard hat because it was a construction facility. And I would go to the, trailer, which was full of 30 some odd, male engineers from various countries. And now, you might think that this would, I'd have these really great anecdotes about being, I'm 19 and I'm with all these swarthy, engineers. But, no, first of all, no, it wasn't like a porn shoot. And they weren't sexist, and there was no ageism. Everyone was super nice. They were a little nerdy, but whatever. They were nice. I had a good time. I just did some typing and some clerking, all in a senior capacity. And that's because I'm a very good typist. My parents made me learn how to type when I was younger. And so when I was 12, I learned how to type. I think my first typing test, I typed 6 words a minute. But, they're always learn to type, you'll have a skill. It's good to have a skill. And I have friends that are I don't want to have a skill. And you're you know what? Today, I am a writer and a data analyst, and those friends are not. And I don't want to brag, but, I have an okay job. I have an office, and, I get to go to Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf every once in a while. Anyway, look, I don't like this two-finger, don't stare at the keyboard crap that people like pass off as typing. I am a hardcore typist. Like, I can look at you and have a conversation while I type something totally different. My college roommate, he used to say it sounded like rain when I would type. Listen, I was just typing. It sounds just like the rain. And you know what? My current keyboard has like about a third of the letters literally worn off because I type so fast and I don't need them. Wow, I'm sure you're saying, that is so impressive, but you're saying it all sarcastic like with like an attitude maybe, but I defy you to try and come to my desk and try and log in. You'll be like, where's the A and the S and the D and the E and the F and the M? And I'd be like, face, I was a senior clerk typist. I type 115 words a minute. My password is 14 characters like alphanumeric and weird characters. And I am a beautiful butterfly. Whatever I'm trying to say is, learning to type seems dumb, but it's good to have a skill. So why don't you just take some time today and learn something and have a good week. I'm going to call Gina and see what she's up to. Blade kill. Have a nice week. Goodbye. I can't find the button to turn this off, but I would totally turn this off as soon as I can get back to that screen. Okay. Goodbye.
I've brought bread
to men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
My principle when I did my articles, I was the first Gentile that my principal engaged as an article clerk.
In Victoria?
Yeah, in Victoria, in Melbourne, yep. And anyway, his name was Bernstein, Mr. Bernstein. Joseph Bernstein. Anyway, I didn't find out until I'd concluded my articles as to why that he'd engaged me, and it turned out that he'd undertaken his legal qualifications subsequent to his service in World War II, and he did his qualifications through a rehabilitation scheme after World War II, like I did subsequent to my service in Vietnam and in the Australian National Service, and I did my law degrees through the National Services Rehabilitation Scheme. The very first day that I commenced my articles, and I went into Mr. Bernstein's office, and I said to him, "Where's my office?" He said, "Son, you've got lots of offices. You can go to the titles office. You can go to the prothonotary's office. You can go to the magistrate court office. There's lots of offices that you'll be engaged in. Don't worry about it, okay? Just sit over in the corner there and shut up." Which I did, okay? Then about a half an hour later, he calls me up and he gives me a file that you needed a forklift to pick up. And he said to me, "Tomorrow I want you to go down to the Supreme Court and get this bloke bail." I said, "Pardon me?" He said, "Are you deaf?" He said, "Tomorrow go down and get this bloke bail." And I said, "Mr. Bernstein, I'm not admitted. I don't have a practicing certificate." And he got up from behind his desk and he said, "Oh, well, we'll fix that." And he went over and he pulled his practicing certificate off the wall, and he opened my briefcase and he threw it in and slammed the briefcase down. He said, "There, son, use that one." And I must admit, I've been in practice for nearly 40 years now, and I've never ever had someone ask me to see my practicing certificate. Anyway, I took the file home that night and I read it. And just fortunately, I'd been somewhat more senior than all of my peers at university. I was a school generation older than them, so I was in my late 20s when I started my articles, and I put on my best suit and collar and tie, and off I went to the Supreme Court, and I got this client out of the cells and took him up to the court, and I stood there, and it was quite a cool day, but I can still remember feeling the perspiration running down between my shoulder blades, because at any moment I thought the judge was going to look over the top of his glasses and say, "Have you got a practicing certificate? Are you sure that you're not an article clerk and you're not admitted to practice?" You know. So I'm very pleased and proud to say that on my second days of articles, I went up to the Supreme Court, did an appearance, and got a client bailed. So, but he was a marvellous principal. I can remember one day he gave me a file, and he came in into my office, which I eventually got one, and he asked me if I'd read the file, and he asked me my opinion. Anyway, I went on and on and on and on, and in the end I said, "Look, really, Mr. Bernstein, it's the principle." He said, "What did you say?" I said, "It's the principle of the..." And he slammed his fist down on my desk, and all the files jumped up, and there was dust in it. He said, "Listen, son, principles of a bloody church. Money's for business. Never forget that." That's the sort of principle my Mr. Bernstein was, and unfortunately he apologised to me when I'd completed my articles that he wouldn't engage me on a full-time basis because all of his clients were Jewish, and they expected to be dealt with by Jewish lawyers. But I'll be forever grateful to him for being my principal, because he gave me a very strong foundation for the practice for my practice for the rest of my life. And I can remember the very first thing he said to me when I got there on the first day, and it's the same thing that I said to all of my article clerks when I was in practice and had article clerks. He said to me, "Son, I expect you to make mistakes." He said, "If you don't make mistakes, you can't learn." He said, "But if you make the same mistake twice, you're a dickhead." And that's what I told all of my article clerks too. So I have very fond memories of my articles, and sometimes I think I should write a book. But anyway.
That's a good story too.
There you go.
Excellent.
That was Ian from Australia, bringing back another story compliments of the one and only Deb Loftus. Thank you, Ian.
Beautiful work, Ian. Thank you, Deb. Great work as always, both of you. Back to the article clerk, a.k.a. Uncle Clark. That's what I thought he said the first time.
Yeah, this was a great story. I love mentor stories.
Totally. Little touches of history. You know, you get a different idea of the culture through Mr. Ian. Coming back from war, like, man.
Like, obviously he's from a way different place, but it's still the same. Process is all still the same. But yeah, he's a interesting guy.
Love it when someone reaches out and gives you a shot, even though it's not necessarily the most ideal situation, maybe for you or for them. But, give him a shot, put him in there. And then I love just faking it till he makes it, Just here's my certificate
go get it
off the wall. Take that down to the Supreme Court. Like, Oh man, he's talking about just sweating profusely, right? Like it's just dripping down his back as he's like, he's gonna ask for this. The judge is he's gonna throw me out, like just the young lawyer just about to get thrown out of court, just waiting for it. But he held it tight.
It made me think of the first time I had to go be a reporter, like in the field, because I was about to leave and I had to go down to what is it? The Capitol building, and I was just gonna do something on the steps or whatever. And I remember I was getting ready to go, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing at all. And I was like, oh, I don't have a press pass or anything. I don't have credentials. And they were just like, you won't need that. I'm like, what am I going to do if somebody asks where I'm from or blah, blah, blah. And so they just they gave me the little flag for the microphone that said the station on it. They're like, here, this will be enough.
There you go. Yeah, that's
and
it.
So, and I didn't, I was so unfamiliar with the equipment. I didn't really know how to do it. So I said, I didn't have time to figure it out. So I just said, screw it, I'm just going to record it on my phone. But I wanted to have that mic with the flag on it because I didn't want to get questioned. So so I had the mic cable running into my backpack. Like I had a little messenger bag thing on me. So I had made it look like it was plugged into something back there. And so I'm walking with the mic, but I'm actually holding my phone next to it. And so that's how I'm conducting interviews.
You're holding the mic and the phone.
I'm just holding the phone next to the mic, and I'm like, yep, here you go. I mean, it worked. I did every single thing I ever did on my phone. It turned out fine.
Well, the technology on an iPhone, so
and
much
yeah,
better
and honestly, a lot of people do it. It's not that uncommon of a practice.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just easier. It's like obviously you can maybe get a better recording or whatever with the mic and the.
But in most situations, like you don't really mind
incredible.
the ambient background noise, and so you can do most of what you're doing on your phone.
Yeah, it's just terrifying to be thrown into that situation, but it's all about acting. Oh, like
and
you've been
it's
there
it's the
before,
only way
you know?
to do it. Like that's how you have to learn. But it's rough. No one likes getting thrown in the pool, but it's the best way to learn how to swim.
Yeah, that's the only way. You got to get thrown right in the fire. But we gotta get to these
Of
quotes.
course.
The quotes were the best.
Mr. Bernstein.
Listen, son. Principles are bloody church. Money is the business. That's it.
No,
that's it.
I maybe I misheard it, but I
the
believe the quote is principles are for church, money is for business.
Either way. Yeah, principles are for bloody church. Yeah, I guess that's principles of church means that's. I don't think they're using church like the new urban slang. Like,
yeah, no, I don't think so. Not like
church.
Church.
The Supreme Court officer, he's like,
Yeah,
church.
No,
listen to this
how
guy.
he's
Listen to this new lawyer kid.
Especially back then.
I love it. All right, what was the other one?
The other one was, I expect you to make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you can't learn. But if you make the same mistake twice, you're a dickhead. That's brilliant.
Thank you so much, Ian. These quotes might make the podcast over and over
that's life
and over
advice.
again. We might just cut these out. Yeah, because you make the same mistake twice, you are kind of a dick.
Oh, you
It
absolutely
gets really
are.
old when you're working with somebody. You're like, really? Again? Are you asking me that question again? Did you just do that again?
Any person you have to tell the same thing to multiple times, more often than not, dickhead.
Yeah, once you get to like 3 or 4, you're just like, oh, well, this isn't working out. Hopefully, you're in a position of power. Where
Yeah,
you
and
can fire
I'll
that
admit
person,
I have on occasion made the same mistake twice, and yeah, that's exactly how I feel and should be described. Yeah,
like a
of course.
dickhead.
But
Yeah,
I'm at
you're
least
just like,
aware enough to be able to self-report. I know when I'm doing it.
Well, you're an old man, John.
For sure.
That comes with age. All right, big shout out to Ian.
From
Thank
Australia.
you so much, as always,
appreciate
for the
it.
story.
We want more.
Please keep them coming. More about Uncle Clark. I love Uncle Clark. Jesse. Big shout out to Deb. Who else we got to thank this week?
I just always want to say thank you to Deb. She does great getting us stories. She is our network. And Jesse,
the connector, the great
Jesse,
connector.
do you hear me? I miss you. I miss you, buddy.
Boogie.
And yes. Who else do I have a shout? I have a
Jesse.
shout out to Drew. He's probably not going to listen, but on the off chance he does, sorry about Boogie, man. I didn't mean to make a joke about it. He's a Sacramento
make
guy.
jokes
He's
about
tall. He's weird. Like, we have a connection. But yeah, he was upset. He was legitimately upset about Boogie Cousins. I didn't expect to find that. So shout out.
Let him go. It's time to become a sports atheist. It's time to become a sports atheist. Forget about your hometown team. Just find the team or the players you like in all of sports. Just
I'll be honest with you. I've been like that for most of my sports watching career. I've always been prone to follow players versus whole teams.
It is nice when your hometown...
Shout out to Jake Plummer.
You know, your old hometown team does well. And then it's like, oh, great, I can watch the team that I grew up watching, and it's fun to watch, and I can kind of cheer for them. But honestly, I don't like the Suns.
I always like
Robert Sarver. I don't care about
having my hometown team to gravitate back towards, and that's always kind of home base. But I'm not afraid to say that I root for other players on other teams. Like, it's sports, man.
Yeah, I'm more interested.
One of the few parts of the world that's all inclusive.
We'll move on. Well, we can't talk about sports because that's the only reason. Shout out to my brother Joel, who's actually been listening late because we cut out the sports, so we can't talk too much about sports.
We were making a human connection.
Well, we'll still throw it in
at
him. Oh, nice! I like what you did there. Shout out to my big bro, John. It's that time again. We got an 86 something. What are we getting rid of?
What are we getting rid of? I think we're getting rid of the drought. We've been getting so much freaking rain, man.
It's not happening yet.
I think it's time to 86 the
We're
drought.
a little ahead of the game, though. You got to move back up to Northern California if you want to get rid of the drought. Down here, we're still in it. Stealing their water.
I don't know, man. It was did you see all the sinkholes? Shout out to David Duarte and his sinkhole.
His Studio City sinkhole.
So much rain.
Did
you not see that picture?
No, I saw it. Yeah, it was like 10 feet deep.
Swallowed a
Someone
car,
got
man.
caught in one, too, right? They had to pull her out.
My mom said the same thing. She was looking at sinkhole pictures on the news.
Keep them coming. Keep the rains coming. I'll take some more snow up in the mountain as I rock back and forth during the earthquakes.
Back to sleep.
Like a baby. Thanks, Earthquake.
The new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood